Hello, everybody. This is Tenacious Earl, and I'm dropping in for a little how do you do, a chat, a what's going on, a whatever you want to call it. Now, I'm out of character here tonight. I don't have my hat, I don't have my uh, sunglasses, and I probably sound a little bit roasty as far as my. And you may be hearing some of the fan from my laptop. Apologies from where it's sitting right now. It may just be a little bit loud, but actually, I'll turn this up just a little bit because I am a little bit hoarse. Turn up the microphone. Um, just I came down. I had a cold pretty much all last week, and um, okay, cold all of last week, and I thought I escaped without losing my voice, and well, I didn't lose my voice. I lost part of it, and so that's what you hear right now is sort of this pretty nasty sounding. Ugh, that's kind of what happens when you get a head cold, and then it kind of turns into I don't know some kind of throat mucus, whatever you want to call it, croup. So that's been the last 2 days. So yeah, so good weekend here. Some ups and downs. Nothing, unfortunately, nothing tabletop related because I was out of town. I decided that because I was only going to be out of town for a short period, that I was not going to bring anything with me. I decided that, as far as, I mean, of course, I brought the typical necessities of going out of town, such as a change of clothes, etc., etc. But um, it was a short trip, and I had some plans that I'll talk about in a second. And so I decided to not bring any of my dice, cards, yada yada yada. I didn't bring my laptop. I kind of had it set up here in my space and just left it because not that I needed to get away, but I just figured I wasn't going to have enough time. And so there. So hi, Jester. So yeah, Saturday morning around at golf, shot 89, 40 on the back, which was nice. It offset if you can obviously do the math, 49 on the front. Not happy about that, but it was the first round of the year, and I was having to take a club more than I usually do on every shot because, I don't know, the weather was, Phantomatic would know. He's not far from where I was playing, and it was cold Saturday morning. Saw some snow during the round. It was wind chills probably around 25 to 30 because the wind gusted to maybe 25 mile an hour. So yeah, it was kind of like baseball. You know how they say that in the summertime the ball gets flying. Well, I think the golf ball doesn't want to fly in the cold weather. Um, so I was pretty happy with that. Just kind of like going with, like I said, a club more. That's like 160 yard, maybe probably go 7, maybe 6 iron from there. Where usually I'm going 8 from 160. My 110 yard shot would be a really strong sand wedge. Normally I would be at least be doing pitching wedge, maybe 9 iron. And just trying to take maybe 3/4 swing and keep it under the wind and all that stuff. So, and I was joking with my brother, who is my playing partner for this gloriously cold round of golf. It seemed I've been waiting for my putting to improve. I always notice it seemed like the older guys seem to putt better, and I think it's the around. Well, I don't necessarily want to indicate my age, but there's a mark there that I was kind of shooting at, and it's kind of a milestone age. probably right around the AARP age, and I do think that my putting somehow has taken a turn for the better. Somehow, passing a birthday. Um, I guess God has blessed me now where I can make a few putts that maybe I wouldn't have made before. So, and again, being the first time out. So, um, so yeah. So, and the other nice thing was we got there, the guy in the pro shop, and so this was a course that's a New York State. It's a state park course, so kind of like Bethpage, but not nearly as tough. But the guy, I think he probably wanted to be home watching, the European tour from the warmth of his recliner. The pro in the clubhouse. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but so he's like, well, pretty cold out there. You want to try 9 holes? Well, you can, So I paid for the 9. We got back around. And like, well, we'll do the other 9. And he was taking care of some business in his office. He's like, hey, you can pay me when you get back. And then he was kind of like, hey, it's okay once we finish the round. So I think he took pity on us for going out there and trying to gut it out in conditions that were I'd say less than ideal, but it was fun. It was a good time. So the title of this video is Stoved. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term stoved. I think it's common. If it's a foot, if it's a toe, it's stubbed, is what I've always heard. But when it was a finger, I've heard stoved, and especially when it comes to doing something like catching a football. And that's literally what I was doing yesterday afternoon. I went to catch a ball. It was a contested catch. We were just playing a little, there was 3 of us, so it was my brother and his kid and me and his kid. No, it was my brother that was covering me. And I went to make the catch, and he got his hand in there, and I don't know how exactly it happened, but I got my index and my so I mean you can see here this guy is a pretty nice. I don't know if you can see the color, but if you look at that now, look at this guy. You can see, doesn't want to zoom. You can kind of see the follicles and stuff. You really have a tough time seeing it with this guy. It's kind of, kind of like swollen, and I can only bend it about like that. It really is not good because it's my fret hand. It's not good for playing guitar. So not good for a lot of things actually. But yeah, so. So I got down here with the cards, thinking about some cards, and I'm like, man, it's kind of tough to do stuff when you're only one-handed. Oh, thanks, Nat King Curry. The 4th. That's been a while now since I played that, but make your way through it. It's got its moments, both good and I don't know. Leave it to. I'll leave it to your own interpretation. So, yeah. So a stoved finger means I don't know what exactly I'll be able to accomplish here in the next couple days with cards and dice. But and as you can see, I can at least wrap a can of soda with it. But it's kind of tough to do it like this. You got to do the whole. You got to leave your pinky off like a. I don't know if you can do the same thing with your index finger, but it feels like I should. So I don't think it's broken, but I do think it's. I think it's the same finger I've had it happen to before at a Bills game, like out in the parking lot trying to play catch in mildly cold weather. You just get distracted by an insect flying around your head from the garbage can that's not too far away, and it just takes your attention just long enough to where. And it was kind of the same thing with my brother reaching in there, just kind of like a real quick lapse. And I don't know. I was also trying to catch it Anyway, a lot of excuses there. Really is kind of. It should be. I should probably consider it pathetic to have done this another time. It should just be like automatic, boom, catch, touchdown. Everybody goes home happy. Instead, I go home with a swollen finger and I don't know. Anyway, so I've been icing it down as I digester. I'm not icing it down at the moment, but I'm trying to hit it with the typical anti-inflammatories. No stimulants, aside from caffeine. Not that I do any of that, but you know, your typical over-the-counter anti-inflammatories that are mildly effective. It doesn't really. This is just not going to work until I get this. You know, once the swelling starts to subside, then it'll start to bend again. I think it's just. I think it's just like a deep bruise, and it'll be okay in a couple days. But for now, it's just going to be a kind of an annoyance. So, yeah. So after that, I wanted to talk, I guess, somewhat about plans and what I'm trying to decide right now is where to go from here, because I kind of got to the end of a game day in my baseball. I've been halfway between wanting to just get going with the golf and also wondering if I should create cards that are for all of the ones that I bought. So I got the cards, but I feel like it probably would be more effective with some of the methods that they described to have every card being the same size. Because if I don't know if you remember, but the last time I ran one of these leagues, I kept having trouble where it felt like when I did the shuffles and then I broke them apart into piles, that sometimes it would seem like, you know, there would always be a slightly oversized card that was kind of like getting special treatment. And so then I started using the D20 to help, you know, randomize piles and things like that. So I may have to just go back and do that, because I think I'd rather just get moving than fart around with making another, I don't know, 90 cards or whatever it is that's for the Tenacious Golf Tour. You know, the draft this weekend, I was also thinking about that second season that's kind of like hanging around, and I haven't played any of that in probably 6 months. Of course, it's the off season, so there's not a whole lot of football going on at the moment, but, you know, kind of having the draft, you know, on this weekend, kind of gets that into mind. You know, I was watching some of the Friends of the Channel series from Baseball Demos, and it was making me think of History Maker Baseball too, and I haven't done any of that. I've got games that I haven't really played on the channel at all. There's Hockey Blast and Soccer Blast. I haven't done either of those games. I feel delinquent, but there's only so much time, you know. Hello, Manny. Yeah, Manny, with a question about the 20-sided die. I assume you're playing super advanced, and you should throw the 20-sided die when there's a player on base only, along with your... and you would also... There's a 20-sided roll if you're trying to judge a lead. But aside from that, you don't have to throw the 20-sided die any other time. There can't be a wild pitch when nobody's on base paths, because there's no base advancement. There's no passed balls. You know, you get the drill. Now, the one thing that I guess they don't ever simulate, and this is kind of like going through my head. So this is for super advanced Stratomatic. You don't ever see as far as I know. Now, it could be in a rare play, but it's not that rare. It probably happens every other game, maybe every third game. A wild pitch strikeout where you then throw to first, the catcher would. That's not really simulated, and so yeah, I don't know, but yeah, that's it. It's only in super advanced. You would roll a d20 when you have a runner on base, any base, as many bases as you have. That's how you simulate. You would also do that to simulate balk as well, because yeah. So there's that. Um, yeah. So this is I feel like I've shot videos that it probably comes off as complaining. It's just, and I want to buy more games, and I just don't. I don't know. I feel like if I do, I'm not. I'm not necessarily being a good steward of my money, especially if it then leads me to start another project that I don't get really down the road very far. But on the other hand, I also want to, kind of pull my weight and show you guys other games. And I think it's the nature of what we do is kind of like it's um, there's a certain level of uh, newness, wanting, novelty. I guess that's the word I was trying to find there for a minute when I was sitting there kind of I was going to settle for newness when novelty is what I mean. It's like you get a new game and there's something fresh and novel. And, I don't just necessarily want to do that to, just for that aspect. A lot of my videos on the old channel, which I guess I don't really plug it a whole lot. Tenacious Strat is a channel here on Facebook, on YouTube, that has a bunch of the advanced. And so if you're interested in advanced baseball, Stratomatic baseball, check those videos out too, because that's sort of it's a middle ground. You might find some basic play on YouTube here from a few people. I don't think I did one short series, a World Series. It was on my Facebook group that was Tenacious Strat, or Tenacious Baseball League. It was one or the other. But I was going to say, if you think basic is just doesn't have enough in there, you might find super advanced to be too time consuming or too, laborious, too, maybe just too complex. I mean, it's okay. It's starting out. You may just like advanced. So go check out those games that I did those in advanced. And I know that Baseball Demos is in the midst of starting a league similar to what I did and what I am doing, but he's going to be using advanced as well. I don't know if he's putting many of those onto his channel though. So, but it's something to consider. But I talk in a lot of those games about some of the setup aspects, and kind of feel like it's a great view into kind of like a starter view of the way to get something going. It really is. I think if you start from the get go and kind of like take it out a ways, you'll see how I progressed in my sort of building things up from really novice tabletop, because that was really the start of it, was that. So Tenacious Strat, check it out. I'm not putting out videos over there anymore, but if you're starting, it's interesting because again, it's just sort of like you watch somebody cutting their teeth, and one moment, I need to get a tissue and blow my nose or something. It's like itchy right now. All right. Well, I didn't find my box of tissues. I found a tissue that I had probably used along the way somewhere. And then I found my daughter bringing down a drill and a bit and all that stuff. So, again, and I would also say that the Philly series, it's instructive from a whole different viewpoint. That's someone who's kind of already started to get into the, has already completed a project. I had already kind of done that, and so this was the Phillies 2008 replay was my second project, and I was like completely clueless to how that kind of thing would affect me. So, um, so let's see. Well, I appreciate, Nat, that you say those things. And an ID Jester said that he thought that a Bills fan would be tougher than that. Yeah, I mean, I don't go jumping through tables that are set on fire or anything. That's if that's what you're alluding to. But maybe someday. I doubt it. I usually get rather demure and quiet, and maybe a little probably laugh a little too much when I kind of get 3 sheets too far towards the wind. But but anyway, just returning to that. So you got a couple different things there you can check out. Tabletop Earl is a little bit more of a straight up informative, and he goes through and kind of just powers through things a little bit more methodically, I would say. And I would say I don't know, him and there's a lot of nice guys here in the table. So Nat says that I'll take that I'm one of the nicest. There's a lot of guys that are nice that do these kinds of things. So, make videos, and we try to be helpful. And you try to do your best. Try to help. Try to help others. Try to, I've made a lot of things. As far as like helpers and score sheets, and try to give them away and stuff. And as long as people, try to, try to help it for what they do, and aren't off trying to, make a buck or two off of it or whatever. That's cool. That's what it's all about for us. I don't really ask for for a whole lot, just trying to just try to help out everybody if we can. It's with the caveat that we only have so much time in our lives. We've all got to put food on the table for our families, and we've all got to keep our employers happy and all that kind of stuff. And most of us have other responsibilities that just, this becomes a, an escape. And, as long as everybody understands that that's kind of what it is for us. It can be more than that. Sometimes it can, and that's when trouble tends to ensue, is when it starts to become more than that. Either from the standpoint that you feel the pressure to produce, or you feel the pressure from others that you're neglecting other aspects of your life. That's kind of where, just have to, there has to be lines that are drawn sometimes. And, some guys are further along in their family lives. It makes it a little easier to do stuff and put out a lot of things. And then there's other guys that it just, it's going to be come and go. And it's all right. Just um, but we try to help each other out here, and I try to help as many people as I can. I tend to give out my email address in every so often in videos, and if you have questions or I've had people give suggestions. Um, I will say I tend to try and solve my problems myself because I think sometimes just because I like to be a self starter and not be too reliant on others, but I also don't want that to come off as me being arrogant or not being willing to accept help either, because I think um, it's just I don't know. I think I think we all like to succeed and fail on our own to an extent. If something messes up, I don't want to have to feel like I'm like I took somebody else's advice and um, that it became an issue, and I don't want to feel like I'm going to hold any kind of bad feelings or this or that, and it would never come to that. But you know what I mean. Let me see. Da, da, da. Miss in soup many games. Goal is to help others. That's baseball demos. Hi, David. So, well, Nat, I appreciate you, and I appreciate a lot of you guys who have been, you know, who went looking on YouTube and found us. And hopefully you keep looking for other streams and other places to chat up. I can't do live streams routinely. I try to you know try to do something like that occasionally. I get into sometimes I get into sort of a routine or a rut where I do too many of the recorded ones, and then maybe I do a couple too many live streams. And I know some would say there probably aren't enough live streams because it's a place where people to interact, but I also feel like um, it becomes where I focus. I I'll tell you what, with a live stream, doing a game on a live stream, I think this is probably a little bit better when this is sort of singular focused. You know what I mean? Like, I'm only worried about chatting to the camera, looking at your comments and responding to those. That's better than, I feel like if I'm doing a game and I have a live chat, then I'm kind of like doing both of them sort of um, there's a word I want to use, half blanked. uh, it's like dividing my attention between two different things, and I don't do either of them as well as if I were to just focus on one thing and then do the other thing and focus on the other thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like you get a bunch of comments come through when you're playing a game, and if you're not responding to them, then I think the people in the chat might feel like you're ignoring them, and then they might just kind of go away and not come back, and they may have some questions. And then if you spend a lot of time looking at your comments and then you may lose focus on where you're at in the game and kind of what you're up to, and there's a rhythm that gets involved with that. So and that's why a lot of times if I do a live stream, I just kind of say, you know what, I'm sorry, but then again, even if you say I'm sorry, I'm going to focus on the game, it still ends up being kind of where, like I said, if it's a new person who comes in and is wondering what it's about and they put a comment there, and again, a lot of you guys, if there's a live stream, you're there, you're commenting, and you're not going to let somebody just hang on without an answer, unless it's like rude or something like that. You might not pay them much attention, but if it's someone that's generally inquisitive and trying to figure out what this is about, then a lot of you guys are going to kind of pick up the slack and say, hey, Earl's, this is what Earl's been doing. He's got a 10-team league, but whatever the circumstances, a lot of you guys understand what's going on and can kind of work them through that. And I appreciate that. So maybe it's not as awkward as I think it could be, but anyway, and maybe it's just me. I don't know. I can overthink things. That's one of my, one of my, I would say flaws. A positive thing that I have going for me is that I do think. Trouble is sometimes I overthink. So, sports time machine. Messages retracted. So yeah, probably had something to say about the Phillies or Yankees or something. But yeah, the nice thing is that we kind of all get to know each other, and a little bit. You know, there's also a certain level of distance that you want to have too. I mean, I just talked about a trip that I made this weekend. A few of you probably had already seen that who are connected with me through social media. It's okay. I just, there's got to be some space there that I find that can kind of keep it from getting too, dialed in, but that's okay. Nobody means any harm. I mean, so it's okay. There is Mark Russell. And again, for those of you who are late showing up here, I am, well, the title of the video is that I stoved my finger, and it's really making me like not being able to do much with that finger. And I've also partly lost my voice. I thought I had escaped it. I did have a kind of a cold, and I thought I got through it, and sure enough, the old larynx decided to pull a fast one on me here, and so I'm a little kind of sound like I'm maybe going through another puberty. But some of you would say maybe you haven't gone through puberty yet, Earl, and that could be, but got to stay young at heart, right? Demos wonders how the Bills did in the draft. I think they did all right, but it's like the whole, a couple of years ago when Rex Ryan was the coach, he went out there in like May or June in a press conference and said, I think we won the offseason, like it's some kind of a badge of honor or something. And it's kind of like, I don't think you want to win the offseason unless you find a way to win the regular season, Talk about winning the offseason after you get done with your schedule and you're 10-6 and in the playoffs. Then you can say, yeah, I think we won the offseason. We won. Actually, then you don't even need to worry about it. What you worry about is whether the other idiots in the media, excuse my pejorative there, but when the media people are saying, oh, you won the offseason, that's cool. You just let that be. And then you go to your team and you say, you know what? I don't think we won the offseason. I think you guys are a bunch of pukes, and you got to show me how you're doing it. You're going to show me how we're going to win. Those guys all like New England, and they want you to feel like you're world beaters. And I'm here to tell you, we ain't nothing. Everybody's job is up for grabs, and some of you who were here last year, who think you got it cemented, you're going to be out on the street looking. So that's kind of the way you got to do it, instead of just sitting there and flaunting it. And that's what Rex did, and that's why Rex is, not doing much anything except running his mouth on ESPN now. So there's that. I think they did okay, but they did a couple of trades up on the second day. I don't know, is that does you a whole lot of good, but if they make the playoffs, nobody's going to question it. They go 4-12, everybody's going to, well, first off, if they go 4-12, Sean McDermott's probably going to be fired. Brandon Bean, he'd probably get another chance, but they're going to go looking for another coach. So, and some of it's going to come down to, actually, you might say right now that it might be better off going 0-16 because you got a couple quarterbacks on the way that look like they can't miss. Where is the one guy from? He is such the spitting image of Peyton Manning when he was in college. I can't remember the guy's name, Trevor something or Travis. I don't know. I can't remember his last name, but he's from like Auburn or Clemson or one of those places, and he just is, you're don't. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm kind of surprised that Kraft hasn't told Belichick to get the heck out, and we're gonna trade off Brady and just start tanking to try and get the next guy. They're usually like that. So, Demos says the Giants are catching heck for drafting their quarterback, and yeah, it's. Oh yeah, there is. The Tua. The Alabama quarterback as well is looking good too. But there's another guy, Derek. No, I can't remember his name. Dang it, I should know. Yeah, Lawrence. Yeah, he's from Clemson. Lawrence. That's his last name. But Trevor Lawrence. That's it. I said Travis. Maybe I said Trevor. I don't know. Something like that. It was a T name. Yeah. So he's like Peyton Manning, except with longer hair, maybe. So, but it's just like they're giving the Giants a bunch of crap, and you just don't know. Heck, you don't know. The thing with the Giants is that they really, the Eagles are maybe the same way. They, they had a good, it's a formula that probably isn't that reproducible. Now granted, you'd say the Giants won too, but they're one catch off the helmet away from it being one, and then there's a couple of other plays where they really just caught some breaks against the Patriots, the Giants did, and the Eagles may have caught a break or two as well. So to sit there and say, it's kind of like saying, it's the reason why you don't hang on to Foles, and you would keep Wentz, is that it's somewhat fluky, and you want to find a quarterback that is going to put you there every year. And I'm not sure Foles is that guy. We'll see how he does in Jacksonville. Maybe he's all right. Jacksonville's a good team too, so they're actually built pretty decent. Defense really good. So that's another case where and that's a Coughlin team. Sure, Marone's the coach, but Coughlin's kind of steering the ship. And again, I don't think it's very reproducible like last year. 2 years ago, Jacksonville was in the championship game. Last year, they looked like dog turds. So, it's kind of a tough formula to have work every year, but I think when it does work, it can hit pretty well. And it's kind of what happened with the Giants. They hit, then they kind of floundered around a couple of years, then they hit again. So, Sunshine from Remember the Titans. I don't know. Yeah, he's. It's just like Peyton, really. Peyton was a pretty boy, Maybe a little bit of receding hairline, but he was always like baby faced and always one step ahead of the defense. He could read the heck out of a defense. Peyton could. And it just got to the point later on in his career where he couldn't make the tools work like he did once. He had the arm to back it up. And and again, Denver's another team. There you go with Peyton. Peyton was not a good quarterback at that point in his career, but they you roll the dice and it worked. And it's kind of tough to do that without a quarterback that's going to bring you back in the fourth quarter. That's the New England thing too. They've got the quarterback, but um, sometimes you just don't get it together in the end, and they've had a couple of them where it's like a crapshoot and they've lost out. So, but the thing with New England is that they just they out do this. They outwork their opponents strategically. I would say is probably their big thing. They're always one step ahead. However they do it, I'll leave it up to you. Probably have some New England fans watching this, so I'm not gonna accuse them of anything. I'm sure that every team does their thing to try and come off on top, and but I would guess that golf is going to be next here on the channel. So, and Mike McAllister had asked me up above about how my golf game is doing, and it's doing all right. So it's early. Probably golf will be on the channel next. So just stay tuned. It probably will be middle of the week. I have some music stuff to do later in the week, but like I said, with this is going to be tough. So I don't know. I have to see, but I'm going to get going. Leave any comments if you've got anything that you want to talk about in the chat, in the comment section. I'll respond there. My voice is starting to sound even more ragged than it was. So take it easy, everybody, and have a good one. Keep rolling.